Right now at 5, a crash at Joplin's Grand Falls injures 3 teens, but takes the life of 1.
We've still got alert days for the area as we've got the freeze warning through 10 this morning and another cold night ahead of us, the latest coming up.
And if you're looking for some Halloween fun, our own Yana Hatula leads us into a haunted hemp maze just outside of Oronogo.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It feels like we were just here not long ago. Even though it's been a full 24 hours, it seems like it hasn't been that long.
Monday went by really quickly, I noticed.
It did. I'm not sure why. I don't know if your Monday went by quick, but it did seem to fly by. And that's a good thing for a Monday, right?
I even made dinner in the Instapot, so it didn't take long.
Well, good. See?
Everything was quick.
It's a good Monday. Good Monday indeed. We had a pretty good dinner last night at home, too, because Amber doesn't let me cook, and there are really good reasons for that. I've got holes in shirts that prove why I shouldn't cook. But she always makes a delicious dinner, and we had a pretty decent one last night. And it was perfect for the very chilly, frigid weather we have for us.
Oh, yeah.
It is cold. I mean, oh man, I brought the big coat today. You need to bring your big coat because it is cold outside. We have a freeze warning for today that continues through 10 a.m. We'll be watching to see if this is reissued for tonight, but right now this one, it does expire at 10 a.m. because it is outright cold and it's going to be cold again. Right now, 7th and Range line looking pretty good, although chilly, 32 degrees is what it is in Joplin with a light north-northwest breeze, but look at that dew point, 14. Humidity is only 48%, both of those very low. 27 in Iola, 28 Fort Scott, 31 Columbus, and 32 in Neosho as we start this day. You factor in that light breeze, it feels like 22 in Iola, 23 in Fort Scott, and 23 in Nevada as we start this day. Live out-of-focus look at I-44 eastbound from Range Line in Joplin. Traffic it appears to be all right so far. We've got a green light for your morning commute, mostly clear skies. Another yellow light today for some gusty winds upwards of 20. You can see temperatures don't do a lot of warming. Kids getting on the bus are going to need the jacket to and from school. 28 under clear skies with north breeze and a little bit breezier later. 45 when they come home. We'll eventually reach a high today of a whopping 48 degrees. Under mostly sunny skies, so it'll look very pleasant, but it'll be quite chilly. And tonight, another cold night in store for us as we drop back down to 23 for the overnight low under clear skies. But there's a big swing in temperatures on the way. We'll talk about that in the 7-day forecast here in just a couple of minutes. All
right, sounds like we got a lot to talk about.
It's a very calm week, but the temperatures are doing something a little wild this week.
For sure. I don't want to say I can't wait for a warm-up because we've been asking for this cool down. So
we have been.
We wanted a fall cool down, not a winter cool down.
Right. We're getting a taste of winter. I think we asked a little too hard for a cool down, and so Mother Nature said, all right, I hear you, and then threw 20-degree temperatures at us. So
well, it'll get better. Don't worry, folks. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a car crash near Joplin's Grand Falls takes the life of a teenager and leaves 3 more injured. It happened shortly before midnight Saturday night near Deer Drive and Dove Drive in Joplin. Officers at the scene found 2 of the teens ejected from the vehicle. One was pronounced dead at the hospital. The other had moderate injuries. 2 other occupants suffered minor injuries. A Southeast Kansas man can expect multiple charges after leading Parsons police on a chase. On Sunday, officers found him in possession of meth, marijuana, pills, mushrooms, crack cocaine, counterfeit money, and a pistol. The officer pulled over a car with defective equipment. When it stopped, the driver got out and ran to Felix Street, and that's where he tripped. As he went down, police say he tossed a gun away from himself, and now the man's facing a list of charges, including distribution of drugs within 1,000 feet of a school. We're not using the man's name because he is not formally charged yet. The man was also wanted out of Cherokee County for failure to appear on aggravated child endangerment, drug, and counterfeit currency charges. Multiple departments respond to a structure fire late Monday night. Authorities say fire consumed a single-story residence northeast of Lawton Road and Highway 7 in Cherokee County, Kansas. Columbus Fire Rescue says the single occupant of the home was lighting a propane stove/heater. The propane malfunctioned and fire erupted. The resident managed to shut off the tank, but the home was already on fire. He suffered minor burns, but refused medical care. As the 4 states continues to deal with drought and dry conditions, the McDonald County Commission has issued a burn ban until significant rainfall. And that ban took place earlier yesterday, shortly after noon. And residents close to Oronogo are welcome to a new all-hemp farm featuring a haunted house. Now, part of this farm's haunted house is a hemp maze that visitors will walk through at the end. This is the only hemp maze in the area. The owner, Chris Newman, says there could be more hemp, but weather conditions have been in play. Even though the specific type of hemp at the farm does not require as much water as other types, the drought during the summer affected it as well.
Give them a little bit of water, yeah, and then whatever rain we get. Yeah, mainly just waiting on the rain. You know, as farming, you're kind of subject to the elements.
The hemp farm will be open in November as well. Midterm elections are 22 days away, and one issue on the ballot in Kansas is Constitutional Amendment Question 2. If passed, it will guarantee Kansans the right to continue to vote on who their county's sheriff is. If not passed, counties can decide to use a charter commission to appoint a sheriff.
The passage of this amendment enshrines the right for citizens to elect their sheriff in the state constitution, which means that right is given and cannot be taken away. Where, since it's currently not in the Constitution, the ability to vote for a sheriff can be taken away. And we want to make sure that Kansans have the ability and the right to vote for their sheriff for generations to come.
Coming up later in the show, our own Jalen Banks talks to some Southeast Kansans to hear how they feel about the proposal. Be sure to download the KOAM News app for all your election needs. You can also go to our website for election information, KOAMnewsnow.com/elections. The website will include resources for all of the 4-state area, such as polling places, deadlines, dates, and you can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Once again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com/elections.
All right, let's take a look at sunrise, sunset times. We're looking at sun rising a little later today, 7:29, and setting a little earlier. Days are getting shorter, 6:37. Now for that 7-day forecast. So down to 23 tonight, 57 tomorrow, and then take a look as we head into the weekend. Still looking at the lower 80s for highs in just a few days, and then we're watching some thunderstorm chances by Monday. And the start of next week we're keeping an eye on. So we're hopeful for some rain. I do not know if that will qualify for the McDonald County burn ban to be lifted, but we are hopeful for some rain. And we actually have a couple of days of rain chances next week that we're keeping an eye on.
I'm keeping an eye on those lows. Another day in the 20s, and then later this weekend, the lows in the 60s.
Yeah, pushing near
big
70.
Change.
Huge changes for overnight lows. So, and huge changes for our daytime temperatures too. Just kind of a wild ride this week.
That's right. All right, well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Carthage Tigers battled Joplin on the gridiron last week to a 34-28 win. Now, it was a big win for the Tigers, but was it worthy of Performance of the Week? Chris has your answer in sports.
Plus, advocates on both sides of the abortion issue hit the streets in key battleground states to ensure their supporters make it to the polls as the midterm elections near.
And millions of Americans with hearing problems can now purchase hearing aids over the counter. We have the details on what you need to know before making such a purchase. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, the basketball preseason is underway. The Pitt State women have been picked to finish 8th in this year's poll. Pitt State returns its leading scorer in Tristan Gegg. She averaged 17.3 points per game last year. As a team, the Gorillas led the league in field goal percentage, but it was a tough end to the season. They finished with a 16-13 record.
Finishing 8th, I mean, we haven't been that low since I've been in college, so I was pretty upset about that. And we got some good people. I mean, I'm super excited for this year. Low in numbers, but like high in talent.
The girls have mentioned that, defense is where they really wanted to start this year as an emphasis, and so whenever that's the case, if that's your mentality, that's a good starting point. And then, of course, rebounding is always an important piece.
Well, the AFC coaches poll was released on Monday, and Pitt State has cracked the top 5. The Gorillas jump up 2 spots to rank 5th nationally in this week's poll. Pitt State is coming off a dominating win over Lincoln. They dropped 49 points in the game, tying a season high. They're now 7-0 with 4 games remaining on their regular season schedule. Next up, Pitt State hosts Missouri Western for homecoming this Saturday at 2. Well, Carthage battled to a huge victory over Joplin on Friday. The Tigers' 34-28 win on senior night is voted this week's Performance of the Week. 2 of the top teams in their classes put on a show on Friday night in Carthage. The Tigers blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown with 2.5 seconds left on the clock to win the game. Quarterback Cooper Jadwin threw for 228 yards and a touchdown. His favorite target, Hudson Moore, had over 100 yards and a score, while Luke Gall led the rushing attack with 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carthage is 7-1 with 1 game remaining. Tigers close out the regular season on the road at Willard. Monday teed off the first day of the Class 321A State Golf Tournament, and the Colgan Panthers are currently in first place on the leaderboard. Here's a look at the individual scores through the first round. Ali Skripczyk shot 6 over par today for a score of 77. That's good for second place, 8 back from the leader. Ava Skripczyk lands in 4th after day 1, shooting an 85, and Greta Eisen is in 7th. The other 3 team members are all in the top 15. Second and final round tees off today. Well, still to come, more details from Iran are beginning to emerge following a fire at an infamous prison. Multiple eyewitnesses say the incident was the result of a full-blown uprising. Plus, we got another check of that freeze warning and the cold temperatures when the KOAM Morning News returns. It is now 5:16 on this absolutely chilly, frigid Tuesday morning, but it also means it's time for some quick weather trivia, so let's dive into it. Our question to you today: sprites, jets, and elves are associated with which form of lightning? Is it lunar lightning, fairy lightning, stratospheric lightning, or upper atmospheric lightning? I don't have any lightning yet, but let's think about that and move on to our forecast real quick. We have a dual alert day going on today into tomorrow, as we've got the freeze warning today until 10 a.m. And then we're watching the temperatures drop back into the low 20s yet again tonight. So another cold night. Here's that freeze warning, as you can see, encompassing the entire area again through 10 this morning. Right now in Joplin, it's cold. You can't tell it by looking at this shot, but believe me, if you go outside, you're going to want a big coat. 32 degrees in Joplin with a light north-northwest breeze. Temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s, 31 for Fredonia, 30 in Parsons, 28 Fort Scott, Nevada, and 32 in Carthage as we start the day with a light breeze. Some of us getting the wind chill, say like Iola at 22 is what it feels like, 23 Fort Scott, 26 Chanute, and 26 is what it feels like in Columbus. A live look at the slightly, oh, hey, look at that. Must be some autofocus thing going on. MoDOT camera looking live east on I-44 from Rangeline. Traffic moving all right. Green light for your morning commute, clear skies, but cold. And a yellow light again today for your drive home, because again, we could see winds gusting about 20 miles an hour. So not as strong as yesterday, but enough to still make a high-profile vehicle wobble a little bit. So do be cautious. Otherwise, clear skies and cool. Kids getting on the bus, they're going to need the jacket this morning. They're going to need the jacket later, because we're 28 and clear when they get on the bus, and we don't warm up a lot. 45 and mostly clear with a slight breeze by the time they get home today. And as we go through the rest of the day, we're not going to do a lot of warming. An afternoon high of only 48 degrees under clear skies. And because we stay clear, another cold one in store. 23 is the overnight low tonight. Now, let's get you the answer real quick to our weather trivia question. Sprites, jets, and elves are associated with which form of lightning? Well, if you happen to pick D, upper atmospheric lightning, you would be correct. Sprites, jets, and elves typically occur above thunderstorms and last for only a few seconds. Now, let's look at your 7-day real quick, because that's where the fun comes in. 57 tomorrow, 40 tomorrow night, and as you can see, we start a quick warming trend into the lower 80s. They're watching some shower and thunderstorm chances come Monday of next week. Well, abortion rights have emerged as a driving factor for Democratic voters this fall, months after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Now, advocates on both sides of the issue are canvassing in key battleground states in an effort to make sure their voters turn out. It's not just federal races they're focused on, but also key gubernatorial and legislative races that could shape new abortion laws at the state level. Natalie Brand reports.
In a key swing district within a battleground state, abortion rights advocates are canvassing 7 days a week.
I would say the stakes have never felt higher.
Courtney Baus is director for Planned Parenthood Votes in Pennsylvania, a state with both an open Senate seat and governor's race.
Abortion access is literally like in the balance of election.
The political arm of Planned Parenthood says it's investing a record $50 million nationwide, spending from Arizona to New Hampshire. On the other side of the issue, the Political Action Committee's Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says it's focused on a similar map with a nearly $80 million budget. The group says it's also canvassing and provided these photos, but declined an interview.
It's respect for life.
Joseph Downey of Pennsylvanians for Human Life and Bucks County Pro-Life Coalition says while his group is not political, he's voting for candidates who are against abortion.
We're advocating for those who can't advocate for themselves. We're their voice. We're the only voice they have.
The single issue is energizing voters across the spectrum.
I generally vote pro-choice anyway, but I will now go straight for whoever is pro-choice across the board.
I think that it is a state issue.
But Bucks County resident Mike Snyder says a lot more will factor into his vote.
I would pray that no one I know is required or is forced to get an abortion, but at the same time, the economy is number one, energy prices would be number two, and crime would be number three.
In the final stretch, canvassers are competing for persuadable voters as the issue of abortion faces its next big test at the ballot box.
A new CBS News Battleground Tracker poll found the percentage of voters who say abortion is very important to them is a little lower now at 54% compared to 59% in September. That brings us to our question to you. Is abortion an important voting issue? You can vote yes or no by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Participate in the voting through our app. Take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. Back with Health Watch after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, millions of Americans suffering from hearing loss can now get hearing aids online or in stores. A new FDA ruling allows the devices to be sold without a prescription, and it goes into effect today. Mandy Gaither has more on what experts say you need to keep in mind if buying a hearing aid over the counter.
It's a long-awaited rule change now in effect. For the first time, people with mild to moderate hearing loss can get devices to help directly from a store or online, making them more affordable.
The average cost of a pair of hearing aids in the past was about $4,500. I mean, so put that in perspective, that means for the average American, a pair of hearing aids could be your third largest material purchase in life after a house and a car.
Now, you don't have to visit a hearing health professional and don't have to have a custom fitting, bringing down the cost. But health experts say there are some things to keep in mind. First, get your hearing tested before heading to a store. That will let you know your hearing levels and help determine whether your hearing loss is caused by a condition that may not require a hearing aid like wax buildup. Next, know what you're buying. Experts say a return policy is crucial. The FDA rule says the policy has to be plainly stated on the packaging, but extended return policies are up to the stores. Check the product's warranty, whether it covers maintenance and repairs, and look for the words OTC or over-the-counter hearing aid on the package. If the product doesn't say that, it's not an FDA-regulated device.
By the market opening up now, there's a lot of opportunity for companies to meet consumers where they are rather than where we want them to be, which is what the model previously dictated.
Experts urge anyone with questions to get in touch with an audiologist for guidance. While over-the-counter hearing aids are a great option for those with mild to moderate hearing loss, for others with more severe hearing loss, prescription hearing aids are still the only option. People under the age of 18 will also need a prescription. That's a look at one of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got 2 alert days in effect for today and tomorrow. Today because of the freeze warning that runs until 10 a.m. And then it's really more for tonight as we'll see temperatures drop back into the low 20s once again. Freeze warning through 10 a.m. again encompasses our entire viewing area. And right now at 7th and Rangeline, it is on the chilly side. Clear skies though, 32 degrees in Joplin, 38 Center, 27 Iola, 31 Pittsburgh, 30 Miami, and at the freezing level in Neosho. But you factor in that light breeze, feels like 19 in Iola this morning, 24 in Miami, feels like 29 in Neosho. Live look at the MoDOT camera looking east on I-44 from Rangeline. Traffic starting to pick up. Green light weather-wise for your morning drive. Clear skies but cold. And then we still hold that yellow light for later today because we could see winds gusting about 20 miles an hour. Otherwise, we are clear. Kids getting on the bus are going to need the jacket going to and coming home today because we got 28 when they get on the bus, and we're only going to be 45 by 3 o'clock under mostly clear skies. We'll only reach a high today, by the way, of only 48 degrees. If I could say only one more time, I'm telling you. 48 degrees is going to be the high under sunny skies, and as we head into tonight, temperatures drop back down to a very chilly 23 degrees under clear skies. Then we get into the roller coaster, 57 tomorrow, and then after that, 72 Thursday, lower 80s through the weekend, and then we're watching rain chances on Monday, the high of 75, and these overnight lows get right back up into the lower to mid 60s. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 5:30, a crash at Joplin's Grand Falls injures 3 teens and takes the life of one.
We have an alert day that continues through 10 a.m. for a freeze warning, then kicks back in tonight as temperatures get very cold once again. A look at your full forecast coming up.
And if you're looking for some Halloween fun, our own Yana Hatula leads us into a haunted hemp maze just outside of Oronogo.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Buck.
I'm Chris Warner. It's a very frigid Tuesday morning across the area as temperatures have dropped and will drop a little bit more before the sun comes up, and we have another cold night ahead of us, and we don't do a lot of warming today. There, that's your entire forecast, really. That's about it. We've got a freeze warning that does continue through 10 a.m. for the entire area today, and then it'll get cold again tonight. Right now, 7th and range line looking good but chilly, 32 degrees in Joplin under clear skies. We got 27 Iola. They're holding on to the cold spot right now. 30 Parsons in Columbus, Miami, and Welch. 32 in Neosho and 34 in Anderson as we start the day. That light breeze is causing a bit of a wind chill, though. 19 is what it feels like in Iola. 28 Fort Scott, 30 Pittsburgh, and 24 in Miami as we start the day. Live look at the MoDOT camera looking east on I-44 from Rangeline. Traffic picking up, looking good though. Green light for your morning commute weather-wise. Clear skies, but cold. Yellow light again for your drive home. So we may see wind gusts upwards of about 20 miles an hour. Otherwise, clear skies. And on the chilly side, kids getting on the bus, they will need that jacket going to school. It'll be 28, mostly clear. They're going to need that jacket with them when they come home. 45 and mostly clear by 3 o'clock. As I said, we don't really warm up a lot today. We only reach a high of 48 degrees. 48. I mean, it's, not far off for October. It's just compared to what we've seen. It's pretty darn cool. Mostly sunny skies. And then tonight, the reason we have the alert day again through the evening is we'll drop back down to a very cold 23 degrees under mostly clear skies. We do have a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of temperatures this week because we'll start to climb back up. We'll talk how warm we're going to get and maybe about some rain chances here in just a couple of minutes.
All right, well, it's definitely cold out there.
That it is.
I feel a little guilty that we sent Yana out to go do a live shot this morning.
She's doing what I've spent the last 6 years doing.
Yeah.
Every time we had a live shot, when I was working evenings as a reporter, it was always 8 degrees. And you guys may remember Zach Dodge, who became a reporter. When I first started, he was a photographer, and he and I were always paired up at night for live shots during like elections and breaking news.
Cold, yeah.
And it was always like 5 degrees outside, and you've got to be there for the entire 9 and 10 o'clock. Man, I do not miss those days, but I also feel the pain that Yana's going through.
Yes, and I'm sure she's handling it well.
I'm sure that she is. I'm sure she's enjoying it because it is still a lot of fun. From the broadcasting aspect, when you get to go live and you're doing your first live shots, even if it's 5 degrees, you're like, all right, let's do this. I got this. We can do it. So I'm sure she's having a blast.
All right, well, it's time to find out. 4 staters are welcome to an all-new hemp farm near Oronogo. KOAM's Yana Abdullah joins us live from the farm with more.
Live from the farm, Yana Abdullah, KOAM News.
This is the only hemp maze in the area. Crystal Friedman says one of the workers, people can have negative thoughts about hemp. This is because people may think it is the same thing as marijuana, even though it's not.
And it looks a lot similar, yeah. The difference between industrial hemp, which is federally legal, and then marijuana is the THC content. Industrial hemp has very low THC, and that's what makes it industrial hemp.
Well, the hemp farm will be open in November as well. And I apologize, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with her mic, but we will get that and bring you Yana later in the show. Well, the midterm election is less than a month away, and there are a multitude of issues on the November ballot for Kansans. KOAM's Jalen Banks explains one ballot question that could impact your local sheriff elections.
The midterm election is just weeks away. One issue on the ballot in Kansas is Constitutional Amendment Question 2. David Groves, Sheriff of Cherokee County, had this to say.
The passage of this amendment enshrines the right for citizens to elect their sheriff in the state constitution, which means that right is given and cannot be taken away, where since it's currently not in the Constitution, the ability to vote for a sheriff can be taken away. And we want to make sure that Kansans have the ability and the right to vote for their sheriff for generations to come.
Some Kansas believe the right should stay in the hands of the citizens.
In my honest opinion, I feel like us as a society should be able to have that input, just based on like how we feel as, for them as sheriffs, and then also as us as a society on and how they help us.
Philip Wesley of Riverton, Kansas, has some hesitations.
I feel that they should have been appointed a long time ago. But that's just my feeling.
Why exactly do you feel that they should have been appointed?
Because a sheriff can be a sheriff for years, many years to come, and it shouldn't be like that. Times change, so why come the sheriff can't?
In Southeast Kansas, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Well, thank you, Jalen, for that report. And be sure to download the KOAM News app for all your election needs. You can also go to our website for election information at koamnewsnow.com/elections. The website will include resources for all the 4 state areas, such as polling places, deadlines, dates, and you can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Once again, that's at koamnewsnow.com/elections. Well, this morning we're discussing abortion and the midterm elections.
Now, voters will go to the polls in just a few weeks, and while they'll weigh in on a variety of issues, the hot button issue seems to be abortion.
Earlier, we showed canvassers in one battleground state. They said they are canvassing neighborhoods 7 days a week, and abortion rights is the driving force behind their efforts.
This isn't just a battleground state issue. This is a local and nationwide issue. In fact, Planned Parenthood says it's throwing a record $50 million into their efforts in spending across the country. The pro-life PAC Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says it's focused on a similar strategy with an even larger budget.
Which brings us to our question, is abortion important to you as a voter?
And so far, it is evenly split. 50% of you say yes, 50% of you say no. Remember, you can vote through our website at koamnewsnow.com/vote. You can vote in our app. Of course, take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. Quick look at that 7-day forecast. This is the roller coaster we're talking about as temperatures get back up very quickly and they warm. We're looking at temperatures going back into the lower 80s by the weekend. We are 40 degrees for tomorrow night, and then you see our overnight lows warm into the lower to mid 60s, and we have some shower and thunderstorm chances building in on Monday. We have a very heavy door to help make the studio soundproof, and
trying to make it quieter. I did not mean the door to shut so hard.
No, yeah, Tanya just kind of slammed that door.
I did not mean to.
I mean, did you body slam it shut? Because that was
it was like some other force sucked it in.
Okay.
I don't know.
She used all of her anger and rage, at 5 o'clock in the morning to shut that door. But do you feel better?
No, not at all. I was just trying to make it quiet. There was a lot of talking going on in the hallway, and it was obviously loud. And
I think the door was louder.
The door was louder. Yes. Wow.
May have been just a little louder.
I did not mean for that to happen.
That's all right. Hey, the door's closed now, right? Though, so that's a plus. Door is closed. We are certain of that. If it's still on the hinges, we don't know, but it is closed.
That was interesting. Yeah. Maybe some of that haunted hemp maze come in here.
I tell you, there's a poltergeist in this studio. Mm-hmm. I swear to you that there is.
It was like the door just sucked out of my hands and went.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen it. I've seen it in this studio. There is a poltergeist in this studio. Anyway.
Maybe you should be doing our interview later this morning. Ooh, there's a tease for you.
I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
I'll just supervise the poltergeist.
Okay. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, tiny pink robots take over one American city. Are they the future of delivery service?
Plus, all the news you need to know before you head out the door.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, more details are beginning to emerge about the deadly fire at one of Iran's most notorious prisons, which multiple eyewitnesses say was the result of a full-blown uprising. Alex Hogan has the details.
Iran has to end the violence against its own citizens simply exercising their fundamental rights.
President Biden joining other world leaders in condemning the Iranian government following a massive fire at a notorious Tehran jail housing political prisoners. The fire at Evin Prison broke out over the weekend. Officials report 8 prisoners were killed, but activists say the real number could be much higher. Just after it started, witnesses reported hearing gunfire at the prison, followed by chants of, quote, death to the dictator, prompting some to suspect it was a failed uprising, not a riot, as officials claimed. Iran's president blaming the U.S. for the unrest.
Americans are angered and upset by every innovation, every happiness or good that happens to Iran.
The fire could be connected to ongoing protests sweeping the country after a young woman died under mysterious circumstances following her arrest by the morality police. The European Union now imposing new sanctions on Monday, with the U.S. expected to follow in the coming days.
It's very important that we sanction the ones who are responsible for the atrocities against the Iranian people.
Meanwhile, as Iran's crackdown turns increasingly violent, protesters say they are not going anywhere, with many seeing a chance for real change for the first time in decades.
This is the time that the movement gaining momentum. This is a women revolution. Clearly, women are in front line.
Sanctions announced on Monday will target leaders of the morality police and other Iranian police officials. That's a look at one of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we have an alert day that continues for the first half of today because of the freeze warning till 10, and then we're throwing that alert day back on heading into the overnight as temperatures will drop again into the low 20s. So that freeze warning continues for our entire area through the morning, and that is because it is quite cold outside. 7th range line, clear skies, looking good but chilly. 32 degrees to start the day in Joplin. 26 Iola, they keep holding on to that cool spot up there. 38 Center, 30 Parsons in Columbus, 31 Miami, and 33 in Anderson. With a light breeze, feels like it's 18 in Iola right now, 28 Fort Scott, 26 Columbus, and 25 in Miami. Live look at the MoDOT camera. Looking east on I-44 from Rangeline. Traffic picking up, looking good. Green light weather-wise for your morning commute as we'll have clear skies, but a little bit on the cold side. We're keeping the yellow light in place because we could see some winds gusting upwards of about 20 miles an hour. Otherwise, clear and cool. Kids getting on the bus this morning are going to need the jacket. 28 degrees under clear skies, and need the jacket coming home too. 45 at 3 o'clock and mostly clear skies. We'll only reach a high today of 48 under mostly sunny skies, and heading into tonight, we drop back down to a very cold 23 degrees. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. On Monday, Joplin City Council voted to apply for a grant that would help pay for a trail to connect Landreth and Dover parks. $500,000 grant would come from the state's Land and Water Conservation Fund. The city would have to match at least 50% of it. The deadline to apply for the grant is November 16th. Council also approved a proposal to add a top golf-style attraction to the city. It would be added to the Rangeline Golf Center in addition to the 9-hole course and putt-putt courses already there. New members of the city's Finance Committee were also appointed. This committee will review the city's finances and look for a long-term solution to wage and retention issues in the police and fire departments. This change comes after voters rejected a property tax increase to pay for wage increases. Midterm elections are 22 days away. One issue on the ballot in Kansas is Constitutional Amendment Question 2. If passed, it will guarantee Kansans the right to continue to vote on who their county sheriffs are. If not passed, counties can decide to use a charter commission to appoint a sheriff. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
An alert day continues through the morning because of the freeze warning and kicks back in later today because we'll see temperatures drop back into the 20s. Freeze warning for all of the counties in our immediate viewing area again through 10 a.m. Right now at 7th and Rangeline, it is clear and cold, 32 degrees in Joplin with a light north-northwest breeze. You got 26 Iola, 33 Chanute, 30 Columbus, 32 Neosho, and 31 in Carthage. You factor in that light breeze, feels like 18 in Iola, 28 in Fort Scott, 26 Columbus, 31 Carthage, and 29 in Neosho. Live look at the MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline, looking east on I-44. We got a green light for your morning commute, clear skies but cold, and we have the yellow light again today because we could see winds gusting to 20 later today. Otherwise, clear and cool. Kids getting on the bus are going to need the jacket again because it's going to be 28 degrees. In fact, they're going to need the coat this morning, and they'll need the jacket when they head home. 45 at 3 o'clock under mostly clear skies, and we only head for a high of 48 degrees, and it's a slow climb to get there under sunny skies. Once the sun sets, though, temperatures will drop off very quickly to an overnight low of 23 degrees, and then the 7-day forecast is where things get a little bit interesting, which you can already see. So we warm up tomorrow, 57, 40 for the overnight low, 72 Thursday. We head into the lower 80s heading into the weekend. Yeah, I know, from where we are now to the lower 80s. And then we look at 75 Monday, but we do have a decent shot of some scattered showers and thunderstorms. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Well, tiny pink robots are taking over North Carolina's largest city.
The pilot program could represent the future of food and coffee delivery.
Trish Williford explains.
Well, if you happen to be out and about in uptown Charlotte anytime soon, watch out. This little cute pink robot is hard at work, just scooting along, delivering coffee and food.
He cool? Like, what is it?
This is Jeffrey. We first introduced you to the tiny pink robots by Tiny Mile back in April when Charlotte City leaders announced it was partnering with the company to test a robotic delivery coffee service in Plaza Midwood. Omar Ilawi, Tiny Mile's business development manager, says moving on to Uptown was a no-brainer.
Because it's so busy, because it's a high visibility area, because there's a lot of small businesses and restaurants.
Jeffrey, as the robots are called, is equipped with heart-shaped eyes that will blink at you. And if you listen closely, the robot will also say hello.
Oh, good afternoon.
These robots can drive around all on their own. They're like respectful to the pedestrian lights, to the traffic lights, to pedestrians on the sidewalk with them.
But how do they actually work?
You go on the app, you kind of input the pickup address, drop-off address, recipient number, pickup number, and then poof, a robot shows up. You put your package in the robot, you use actually your phone to unlock the lid.
Then Jeffrey rolls on over to the drop-off location, which you can track on your phone. He arrives, you press a button, and get your package. But no worries, Ilawi says the robots won't replace people.
These robots generate way more jobs than they'll take away. You need an operator, you need a dispatcher, you need engineers, you need technicians. There's a lot that goes into operating these little robots, so maybe shifting jobs but not taking them away.
I could see some danger when it crosses the road.
There's a lot of unanswereds on that, I think, in terms of how safe they are, how protected they are, because they are pretty tiny. If it crosses the road and somebody's like, oh, hey, I can make my right turn right now, they're not going to see that little pink robot necessarily.
No, and what if it opens up next to a very untrustworthy person and the person who wants the food and the other person takes it?
Maybe they'll be armed in the future. That's how Terminator starts.
I don't know. Well, currently there are 8 to 10 tiny pink robots operating in uptown Charlotte.
If the program continues to be a success, Tiny Mile may add more. We got another look at your frigid forecast when we come back. All right, we do have an alert day through the first half of your day because we have that freeze warning till 10 a.m. And then we'll put the alert day back for going into tonight as we'll see temperatures drop back into the lower 20s for overnight lows. That freeze warning through 10 a.m. for every county in our viewing area, and that is because it is absolutely frigid outside right now. The 7th and Rangeline looking good but cold. Temperatures drop now in Joplin to 28 degrees with a calm wind. which we've got 26 in Iola, 33 Chanute, 30 in Columbus, 31 Miami, and 33 in Anderson. And you factor in a light breeze for some of us, that makes it feel like 18 in Iola, 28 Fort Scott, 26 Columbus, and feels like 29 in Neosho as we start the day. Live look at the MoDOT camera at I-44 and Range Line, looking east along the interstate. Traffic picking up, but still flowing good. Green light for your morning commute from the weather side, as we'll be clear but cold this morning. We're holding on to that yellow light simply because we could see some wind gusts upwards of, say, about 20 miles an hour today. Otherwise, we will be clear and chilly. Kids getting on the bus, they're going to need a coat to get on that bus this morning at 7 because we'll be 28 degrees. And then when they come home, it's not going to be a lot warmer. 45, mostly clear skies with that gusty wind under otherwise, again, mostly clear skies. Going through today, we don't do a lot of warming. You can see we only make it up to 48. And once the sun goes down, temperatures will drop quickly. And it's also a slow climb to that 48-degree level. Heading into tonight, hence the alert day for this evening, we cool off quickly to an overnight low of 23 degrees under mostly clear skies. And we're also talking rain chances, but they don't really get in here until Monday. So you can see we get some passing clouds. We do start to warm up heading into the weekend, which we'll talk about on the 7-day. And as we head into Monday, that's where we've got a system that's trying to come in and could overspread us with at least some shower and thunderstorm activity late Monday into early Tuesday. Let me take a quick look at the 7-day. We warm up tomorrow, 57 degrees, 72 by Friday, lower 80s by the weekend, and then those rain chances by Monday with a high of 75. We have more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, multiple departments respond to a late Monday structure fire.
We've got an alert day through the morning for that freeze warning. It kicks back in again this evening as temperatures drop back into the 20s. There's a warm up on the way. We'll talk about that coming up.
And we've all heard of haunted corn mazes, but what about a haunted hemp maze? Our very own Yana Hatula braves not only the weather, but the haunts of this unique maze brings.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It's now a few seconds after 6 a.m. on this frigid Tuesday morning. I walked outside and immediately wanted to walk back in. I thought,
we're not used to it.
No, not yet, not yet. And this was a sudden cold snap too. It's not like we had time to ease into cooler temperatures. It just was suddenly, now it's cold.
Summer, winter.
Yep, and then we go back to summer. And that's the fun part about this forecast. It's like they say, if you don't like the weather in the 4 states, just wait a few minutes. In this case, just a few days, and it'll change again. Right now, we do have that freeze warning, though, that continues until 10 a.m. for the entire viewing area. That's why we have the alert day for the first half of your day, and then we'll tell you why we've got the alert day for the second half of your day here in just a second. Right now, at 7th and Range Line, it is clear and cold, 28 degrees in Joplin, with a light, calm breeze there. 27 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 28 Pittsburgh, Lamar, Carthage, Columbus, Parsons, and a little warmer to the south, 34 Grove, 32 in Anderson. You factor in a light breeze for some of us, feels like 19 in Iola, 21 Fort Scott, 20 in Nevada as we start this day. Looking at the MoDOT camera, looking live from I-44 and Range Line east on I-44. Traffic picking up but flowing. Green light for your morning commute. This will be clear and cold, and then we have the yellow light because we could see winds again gusting to about 20 miles an hour later today. So if you're in a high-profile vehicle, be aware of that. Otherwise, clear skies and cool. Kids getting on the bus this morning are going to need a coat because it is chilly. 28 degrees under clear skies, a little bit gusty wind later today. Only 45 by 3 under mostly clear skies. Going through today, we only warm up to 48. Which it's hard to believe what you'll see in the 7-day a little later. 48 degrees today, mostly sunny skies, and the alert day kicks in again this evening as temperatures will drop rapidly under clear skies to an overnight low of 23. But this is very short-lived because Mother Nature is eventually going to, not eventually, like within the next 24 hours, going to go, now it's summertime. That's how quick things are going to change. We'll take a look at that in the 7-day forecast here in just a few minutes.
That's how it happens.
Mother Nature would have it no other way.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, multiple departments respond to a structure fire late Monday night. Authorities say fire consumed a single-story residence northeast of Lawton Road and Highway 7 in Cherokee County, Kansas. Columbus Fire Rescue says the single occupant of the home was lighting a propane stove/heater. The propane malfunctioned and fire erupted. The resident managed to shut off the tank, but the home was already on fire. He suffered minor burns but refused medical care. A Southeast Kansas man is facing charges for drugs and more after leading Parsons police on a chase. It happened early Sunday morning. Officers found him in possession of meth, marijuana, pills, mushrooms, crack cocaine, counterfeit money, and a pistol. The officer pulled over the car with defective equipment. When it stopped, the driver got out and ran to Felix Street, and that's where he tripped. As he went down, police say he tossed a gun away from himself, and now the man's facing a list of charges, including distribution of drugs within 1,000 feet of a school. We're not using his name yet because he is not formally charged. The man was also wanted out of Cherokee County for failure to appear on an aggravated child endangerment, drug, and counterfeit currency charges. A Joplin teen is dead after a car filled with juveniles crashes near Grand Falls. It happened shortly before midnight Saturday night near Deer Drive and Dove Drive in Joplin. Officers at the scene found 2 of the teens ejected from the vehicle. One was pronounced dead at the hospital. The other had only moderate injuries. 2 other occupants suffered minor injuries. As the 4 states continues to deal with drought and dry conditions, the McDonald County Commission has issued a burn ban until significant rainfall. That ban took place this morning at 12:01 a.m. Well, residents close to Oronogo are welcome to a new all-hemp farm. KOAM's Yana Hatula joins us live from the farm with more.
Part of this haunted house is a hemp maze that the visitors will walk through at the end. This is the only hemp maze in the area. The owner, Chris Newman, says there could be more hemp, but weather conditions have been in play. Even though the specific type of hemp at the farm does not require as much water as other types, the drought during the summer affected on it as well.
Give them a little bit of water, yeah, and then whatever rain we get. Yeah, mainly just waiting on the rain. You know, as farming, you're kind of subject to the elements.
The hemp farm will be open in November as well.
Council also approved a proposal to add a top golf-style attraction to the city. It would be added to the Rangeline Golf Center in addition to the 9-hole course and putt-putt courses already there.
We're in the preliminary stages of the development. Of course, the property owner and potential owner of Top Golf actually got the property rezoned for that type of use. So right now we're just waiting on the design of and submittal of the building plans.
On Monday, the city of Joplin played host to some tourists from the state capitol. More than 30 members of the First Baptist Church Choir from Jefferson City were in town to visit Mercy Park and the Rotary Clubs of Joplin Sculpture Garden. The group also performed at the park.
Are really sad. Some of them sit there and you think they're really not even aware of what you're doing, but when we start singing, and we especially sing an old hymn that they know, you'll see their heads come up. You'll see them start mouthing the words with us. So we just hope to bring a little hope.
Choir is headed to Bentonville for more activities and performances.
All right, looking at the sunrise and sunset for today, we're looking at 7:29 for the sun to wake up. And then we'll go back to bed pretty early, 6:37 tonight. Now the 7-day forecast with the roller coaster in it. 57 tomorrow, 40 for the overnight low, 72 Thursday, lower 80s heading into the weekend under partly cloudy skies. And then we're watching some rain chances by Monday and 75. And I want to show you real quick the 10-day because then we cool back to a slightly more fall-like pattern after the rain moves through with temperatures in the lower to mid 60s for the first half of next week.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we're going to learn about a unique fundraiser that the Parsons Museum is holding this coming weekend.
Plus, we meet a man who grew a 2,000-pound pumpkin in Wisconsin.
And why strict parenting can lead to depression in children. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We have a special guest joining us this morning, Julie Kellogg, who is a psychic medium. Super excited to have her in studio this morning. She's going to be participating in the Parsons Historical Museum's fundraiser that's coming up, A Night at the Museum. You want to tell us a little bit more about that? First of all, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a board member at the museum reach out and ask. They do fundraisers to help support the all the things that they're doing at the museum, just wonderful things. And it's all run by volunteers and grants, and they usually hold a rummage sale. But so far, this is turning out to be a really good fundraiser for them.
Okay, so the night at the museum is actually, it's this coming Saturday, correct?
It is. It's from 6:30 to 8 at the Parsons Historical Museum. It'll be in the back room. And so there will be the option after the event for everyone to have a private tour through the museum as well.
Okay. And what specifically is going to be your role there?
Well, I will be doing readings, and if people don't know what that is, that's if a departed loved one comes through, I will give those messages. And sometimes messages can come from anyone on your spirit team, so it could be guides or angels, but everyone wants to talk to their loved ones who are gone. So that's what the focus will be, but in any event that I do, I teach. There's a lot of misconceptions about mediums in the spirit world, so I like to teach, tell some of my stories, and I always do a Q&A. So we try to keep the audiences small so that more people have the opportunity to ask questions.
And we actually toyed with the idea of maybe doing a reading in studio, but there's a few challenges when you're outside of a calm, quiet setting too.
Right, that's true. The more people, the more spirits can come through. So if you have, like this event is set for 50 people, but there will probably be somewhere between 60 and 70 once everything's done. And let's say each one of those people had 10 souls that wanted to talk to them. That becomes a lot that I need to weed through and sort out. And oftentimes souls, spirit, kind of works it out amongst themselves as to what's the most important to come through. It's not always what we think or what we hope, but it's always what we need.
Okay. All right, so do people need to register in advance for the event on Saturday?
Yes, the ticket sales are online, and it is, I don't know how to get that. Is it?
The Unexpected Medium is what it's called?
TheUnexpectedMedium.com.
There you go.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's
All
it.
right. Probably can just do a little search on Ticket Leap for Parsons Historical Museum and find it that way too. Yes.
Yep. Well, and they're also on Facebook, so it's listed on that, and so am I.
Okay.
So.
Yes, so check out their Facebook page and you can find a link to that. We're going to come back later in the show and talk a little more about your work as a psychic medium and maybe some of the interesting things that you've come across.
All right, that sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back.
We have alert day for us today because we've got the first half of the day as an alert day for that freeze warning until 10 o'clock, and then it kicks in again tonight. We're going to put an alert day through the evening as temperatures drop back into the lower 20s tonight. And here's that freeze warning again through 10 a.m. for every county in our viewing area because it is absolutely frigid outside. You can't tell just by looking, but trust me, if you walk outside, you're going to regret it if you don't have a coat. It is currently 28 in Joplin right now, but the wind is calm, so it feels like 28, but there's a light breeze for some of us that's making it feel a little bit on the colder side. 27 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 28 Lamar, Pittsburgh, Columbus, 30 Welch, Miami, Neosho, and then 32 down in Anderson. You factor in that light breeze, and this is what we're left with, feeling like 19 degrees in Iola. Feels like 21 Fort Scott, 20 in Nevada, feels like 25 in Lamar as we start the day. Live look at the MoDOT camera from I-44 and Range Line looking east. Traffic picking up, but still on the move. Green light weather-wise for your morning drive as we'll be mostly clear but cold this morning. And we still have that yellow light for your drive home because we could see winds gusting upwards of, say, about 20 miles an hour, which could make driving a high-profile vehicle a little bit difficult. Otherwise, clear skies and cool. Kids getting on the bus this morning, they're going to need a coat if they don't have one already because it is going to be chilly. 28 degrees, mostly clear. And then the north wind picks up a bit, could get a little gusty later, and only 45 by 3 o'clock under mostly clear skies. As we go through the rest of today, we've got an afternoon high of only 48 degrees. And when I show you the 7-day, it's going to be hard to believe that how we're going to get from here to there in just a few days, but it is the 4 states. And if you're from here, then you know it is possible. But if you're not from here, you're going to see a pretty crazy forecast coming up. Mostly sunny skies otherwise. And the alert day for this evening, because under those clear skies, we get cold fast. Temperature drops back down to 23 degrees. for an overnight low tonight. So absolutely frigid. On the future track, it's going to give you a little tease of what we're talking about with these temperatures, because as you can see, 8:30 Saturday morning, it's expecting 63 degrees. You also saw some passing clouds around the area, and then on Monday, early Monday morning, we're looking at a system out to our northwest that could bring us some shower and thunderstorm chances later in the day Monday and through the early part of Tuesday. So we're talking late Monday night and very early Tuesday. Some shower and thunderstorm chances are in our forecast, and it's more rain that we need. Not enough to really kick out the drought, but any rain is better than no rain. So here's where it goes crazy. 57 tomorrow, not bad. Not, 9 degrees warmer than today. 40 for the overnight low on Wednesday. 72 Thursday, and then look at Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as we go up into the lower 80s for afternoon highs in just a few days. So that's 48 to 80 in 3 days, 72 hours, hard to believe. And then we're watching those rain chances as we head into Monday with an afternoon high of 75. Look at our overnight lows from 23 tonight to 66 by Sunday night. So absolutely crazy. But again, if you're from the area, this isn't all that unusual. Just a bit odd. Well, competitive pumpkin grower is boasting the biggest pumpkin in Wisconsin. Yukara Nakayama checked it out and met the man behind it.
Oh, how much does this weigh? It's huge. I can't even believe they grow that big, to be honest with you.
Say hello to Wisconsin's biggest gourd, weighing in at over 2,000 pounds. And you can find it at the Tom Dooley Apple Orchard in Waupun.
The last 3 weekends, yeah, it's the big pumpkin right now.
Meet its maker, Tom Monsma, who's been nursing this bad boy since mid-April, battling for Wisconsin's Giant Pumpkin Growers competition.
Being a big gardener, competitive pumpkin growing has been part of my life. So yeah, now I'm starting to get the label that you're the guy that grows the big pumpkins.
He's been part of the competition for 7 years now, saying his gourd grows up to 40 or 50 pounds a day.
There's days I can come home from work, I set my lunch pail down and I'll go and pull the blanket off and I'll go, yeah, that thing really grew today.
In just over 90 days, this gourd started off at the size of a golf ball to a pumpkin that weighs about a ton.
It does look like a fake pumpkin, but it's so firm and it's so real. Wow.
And the pumpkin walls up front here to the middle will probably be 12 to 15 inches thick.
The secret to nursing such a big gourd?
Everybody says it's on steroids. I do not feed any steroids. I really am just getting to know my soil. You want to get your soil and your pH level of your soil in prime shape. I feed a lot of fish and a lot of seaweed fertilizer 2 to 3 or 4 times a week.
Hitting his 2,000-pound milestone meant more to the gardener because it was a milestone he promised he'd hit for his mother.
And this one's really special because we lost my mom in 2012 to cancer. And before she passed away, I made a promise to her that someday I would grow a big pumpkin in her memory.
And Monsma says this gigantic gourd equals about 250 of these regular-sized 8-pound pumpkins. And most of all, Monsma does it to bring a smile to a person's face.
If people can appreciate and enjoy, and in a world when we're full of despair at times, this is just something to make people smile.
And if you happen to be in the region, again, the giant gourd can be found at the Tom Dooley Apple Orchard in Waupun. We'll be right back with Consumer Watch after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, strict parenting may lead to a risk of depression in children by hardwiring changes in their DNA. Researchers in Belgium compared adolescents who reported good parenting, like those who offer support and independence, to children who reported physical punishment or manipulation. They found that those who received harsh parenting saw an increase in a small chemical molecule being added to DNA that is known to be associated with depression. The COVID-19 pandemic is having a prolonged impact on life expectancy in some countries, including Eastern Europe and the United States. New data from the University of Oxford looked at life expectancy in more than 30 nations in 2021, while parts of Western Europe appear to have bounced back from 2020. Declines in life expectancy in Eastern Europe are comparable to levels last seen during the breakup of the Soviet Union. Countries with higher levels of vaccinations fared better than nations where many citizens did not get a vaccine. Americans with diabetes are rationing their insulin because of high prices, according to researchers at Harvard Medical School and Hunter College. An analysis of national health data found that 1.3 million people were conserving insulin, most by delaying buying the life-saving drug. Research showed that younger adults and those without insurance were most likely to ration. These patients also reported feeling overwhelmed by the stressors of living with diabetes. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, we have an alert day split in half today for a couple of reasons. One, the first half of your day for the freeze warning, and then later tonight because we will see temperatures once again drop into the lower 20s. So that freeze warning does continue through 10 a.m. for every county in our viewing area, and that is because it is so darn cold outside. 7th and Range Line, again, you look out the window or you look at our camera here, it doesn't really look cold, but then we tell you what the temperature is and you realize it's cold, or you step outside without a coat on, or worse, in your PJs to take the trash out, and then you realize it is extraordinarily cold out there. 28 degrees with a calm wind, so in Joplin it feels like 28, but there is a light breeze across the area, so some of us are getting a wind chill. 27 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 29 Pittsburgh, 28 Lamar and Carthage, and 30 in Neosho. And you factor in that light wind, and it does make it feel a little cooler. 20 in Iola, so now they're out of the teens at least. 22 is what it feels like in Fort Scott, Nevada, 25 in Lamar, and feels like 27 in Carthage. Live look at the MoDOT camera from Range Line and I-44 looking east across the interstate. Traffic is picking up but moving smoothly. And from the weather side, we do have a green light for your morning commute as we'll be clear and cold. And we do have the yellow light once again for your drive home because you're in a high-profile vehicle. Gusty winds upwards of maybe, say, 20 miles an hour could make it a little hard to hold on to, so just be aware of that. Otherwise, clear and chilly. Kids getting on the bus this morning, they're going to need the big coat because it's going to be 28 degrees at 7 a.m. with that light north breeze, and all it takes is a little breeze to make that wind chill feel absolutely miserable. Then when they get home, they're still going to need that coat because it's going to be 45, and if we push wind gusts of upwards of 20, we're talking wind chills back into the lower 40s, maybe even the upper 30s in the middle of the afternoon. As we go through today, we do not do a lot of warming. In fact, it is a slow climb to eventually reach a high of 48 degrees under mostly sunny skies. And because we are clear, if we had clouds, we could trap a little bit of the warmth, but we have no clouds. And so with a clear sky, once the sun set, you can see temperatures drop rapidly overnight to a low of 23 degrees. And that's why we have the alert day for this evening, because it's going to be so cold. You could call it an alert night if you wanted to. Now, the future track shows us a couple of things. One, shows us some passing clouds through the week. We'll have some partly cloudy, maybe even a couple of mostly cloudy days out there. It also shows us this is Saturday morning, where we're going to be 63 at 8:30 Saturday morning. But the other good news it brings us is this, a system off to our northwest that will bring us some shower and thunderstorm chances late Monday and into the very early morning hours of Tuesday. Let's look at the 7-day forecast and the roller coaster ride we're about to take. 57 tomorrow, mostly cloudy. 40 though tomorrow night, 72 Thursday, lower 80s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday under partly cloudy skies. And we have those rain chances Monday, 75. Overnight lows creep back up into the 60s before the rain brings us down to fall-like temperatures. Not as cold as where we are now, but back into the lower 60s, and overnight lows a bit more seasonable in the lower 40s and upper 30s. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News coming your way.
Now at 6:30, multiple fire departments respond to a late Monday structure fire.
We've also got an alert day for the first half of your day for the freeze warning, and it kicks in again this evening for another round of very cold temperatures. We'll talk about that and a warm-up here in just a couple of minutes.
And we've all heard of haunted corn mazes, but what about a haunted hemp maze? Our very own Yana Hatula braves not only the weather, but the haunts this unique maze brings.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So I said a couple of minutes. What I really meant was like 20 seconds. And then I'll tell you about the weather. But
okay.
You're so used to sometimes, you have your certain phrases because you know what's coming and when it's coming. And then sometimes you just sputter out the wrong phrase at the wrong time.
It's okay. We forgive you.
It's coming up. And it's coming up right now, actually, because it is time for the forecast. And first look at that weather. Man, it is cold. And that's why we've had this freeze warning in effect, and it runs until 10 a.m. this morning, and it's for every county in our viewing area. Live look at 7th and Range Line. You can see it's looking all right, at least from this vantage, and you throw on the temperatures, and boy, you realize how cold it really is. 28 degrees in Joplin under clear skies. Calm winds, so it feels like 28, but there's a light breeze in some of our areas, and all it takes is that light breeze to make it feel even colder. 27 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 30 Welch and Miami and Neosho, and 32 in Anderson. You factor in that light breeze, feels like 20 in Iola and Yates Center, 22 Fort Scott, Nevada, feels like 25 in Lamar as we start the day. Live look at the MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline looking east. Traffic picking up. We got a green light weather-wise for your morning commute. This will be clear and cold. We have the yellow light on again for your drive home simply because of those gusty winds upwards of about 20 miles an hour. Otherwise, clear skies. Kids getting on the bus need that coat. 28 degrees at 7 a.m. Wind picks up a little bit this afternoon. 45 by 3 o'clock under mostly clear skies. We will only reach a high of 48 degrees today. We do not do a lot of warming under mostly sunny skies. And because we're clear, temperatures drop off quickly tonight. We'll hit an overnight low of 23 degrees. So it's going to be absolutely chilly once again. It's not chilly, it's going to be cold tonight. 23 for the overnight low, but there's some big changes on the way. We'll talk about those in the 7-day forecast here in just a minute.
And those changes have to do with that 23, so.
Yeah, they have a lot to do with that 23. So it's a little
Make it
bit
through
of a,
one more night and we'll ease you back in.
No, we don't really ease you, really. I mean, you look at that 7-day, that's not an easing. It just suddenly happens.
Just reminded you that it's not always summer here in the 4 states. That's all these 2 days we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, just about. That's all they're doing. We'll tell you about it, too, in a minute.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Joplin Teen is dead after a car filled with juveniles crashes near Grand Falls. It happened shortly before midnight Saturday night near Deer Drive and Dove Drive in Joplin. Officers at the scene found 2 of the teens ejected from the vehicle. One was pronounced dead at the hospital. The other had moderate injuries. The 2 other occupants suffered minor injuries. Multiple departments respond to a structure fire late Monday night. Authorities say fire consumed a single-story residence northeast of Lawton Road and Highway 7 in Cherokee County, Kansas. Columbus Fire Rescue says the single occupant of the home was lighting a propane stove/heater. The propane malfunctioned and fire erupted. The resident managed to shut off the tank, but the home was already on fire. He suffered minor burns, but refused medical care. A Southeast Kansas man is facing charges for drugs and more after leading Parsons police on a chase. It happened early Sunday morning. Officers found him in possession of meth, marijuana, pills, mushrooms, crack cocaine, counterfeit money, and a pistol. The officer pulled over the car with defective equipment. When it stopped, the driver got out and ran to Felix Street, and that's where he tripped. As he went down, police say he tossed a gun away from himself, and now the man's facing a list of charges, including distribution of drugs within 1,000 feet of a school. We're not using the man's name because he's not formally charged yet. The man was also wanted out of Cherokee County for failure to appear on aggravated child endangerment, drug and counterfeit currency charges. As the 4 states continues to deal with drought and dry conditions, the McDonald County Commission has issued a burn ban until significant rainfall. That ban took place earlier this morning at 12:01 a.m. Oronogo has a new all-hemp farm for residents to visit this fall. KOAM's Yana Abdullah joins us live from Oronogo with the details. Yana.
This all-hemp farm is brand new and the only hemp farm in the area. This hemp maze is the only one in the area. After completing the haunted house, people will walk through it in the dark. The owner of the farm says people often have a negative image of hemp.
People still think that, industrial hemp will get you high, which is the euphoric feeling in the brain that gives you that feeling. It won't. It has all the other benefits other than the euphoric feeling.
That's why workers want to educate visitors about the plant and all the different things you can do with it.
Like my shirt I'm wearing is made out of hemp, and it's some of the softest fabric, and it washes up and lasts a lot longer than regular cotton. And so that's something that people are surprised to see.
Newman knew of an old, unused turkey farm and came up with the idea to bring it back to life as a hemp farm.
Cleaned it out, scraped it, cut down all the non-usable stuff and salvaged what we could and cleaned it all up and cleaned out the brush.
The farm is meant for whole family to have fun while also being educated about hemp.
And to some of the members of the Missouri Department of Agriculture and the hemp program, and he had suggested doing some type of educational place to inform the community of the hemp industry and this type of variety.
The workers say they may add hemp products for sale next year to showcase its many uses.
You can just rub it right straight on your skin, put it in hair products. There's tons of stuff.
In Oronogo, the farm will be open all November and the haunted house will be open until the end of this month. Live in Oronogo, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
It looks like a really cool place. Jana, thank you so much.
And it's a little bit chilly to be out there as well. As you can see, we're only going to make it to 48 today, but then we have that warm up. We push into the lower 80s in the next roughly 72 hours or so, and then we'll watch rain chances by Monday. Check out our overnight lows too. Start to do a little better. We go from 23 tonight to 66 by Sunday night.
Well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, Julie Kellogg steps back into the studio with us to dispel some misconceptions that you may have about psychic mediums.
And we're going to take another look at that frigid forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. I've got Julie Kellogg back in studio with us this morning. She is a psychic medium here to tell us a little bit. Earlier this morning, we talked about the Night at the Museum event that's coming up in Parsons this Saturday. You're going to be doing readings there at the museum. I'm curious, though, you've been in the museum multiple times. Do you feel anything when you're there?
Yes, I actually do, everywhere. Any museum that I go into, any thrift stores and things like that, it's pretty interesting. My assistant and I went through, about a month ago, we did a walkthrough and videotaped information that I got on certain items. So I'll reveal that at the event as well.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah, something to add to the tours there. So to participate in the Night at the Museum event, you need to register in advance, and you can find information about that on both Julie's Facebook page and the Parsons Historical Museum Facebook page, a link to the ticket site as well.
Yes.
When does the event start?
It's at 6:30 Saturday. Mm-hmm. It'll run through 8 o'clock, and then we have the private tour after that through the museum.
Okay. And then you're going to be doing readings to help people possibly talk to loved ones that night as well.
Absolutely. And do some teaching as well, and tell some stories and answer questions.
That's cool. I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
You talked about you do a lot of clearings. Like your shop is in Columbus, but you work with people all over the world. How does that work?
Well, the internet is fabulous in that way. So a lot of people think, why are you just now coming out? Why am I just finding out about you? And I've been doing this work more than half my life. When I was in college, I discovered the internet, and it gave me the ability to connect with people then. But now I have a website, and so people can find me simply by a Google search. And I do the clearings, as we talked about, and I also work with psychic medium children. Growing up as I was, this wasn't something I sought out. It's just who I've always been. It's just the way I've always been, and it might seem really unusual, but I have memories of seeing spirits from when I was an infant even, and I verified things with my mom where we lived, and so I know that those were accurate memories. And my life growing up like this was not that easy, so it's dear to my heart to work with kids who are like me.
Are you able to go out into public and identify other mediums as well?
I can, but the thing is that I don't walk around just reading people.
Yeah.
I always say that's like looking in on someone in the shower. You don't want to do that. That's not nice. So I don't, and that's a misconception, is that when people meet me and they find out what I do, or maybe they knew before they met me, and I'm like, I'm not, it's because they'll say,
I don't want you to know. Yeah.
What can you tell me? Or did you already read me? Did you just read my mind? And I'm like, no, I don't do that. I don't do that, not unless you come to me and ask of that. I'm not looking into your life.
So what are the different things that you do as a medium? You talked about the clearings. Step me through that process.
Okay, so this time of year I get a lot more private messages or emails and it's not necessarily for readings, it's because with all the spooky stuff going on and more people are watching scary movies, that entices things. So if there's earthbound spirits around, they don't want to hang out and they want to be around that creepy stuff. And so people start having things happen in their home, or their children might be experiencing things. If they have a psychic medium child, that ramps up. So I have a lot of people, like it's a rescue me, help me kind of thing. But the clearings, I can be anywhere because I just see all of that in my mind. And I know it sounds crazy to some people, and I can't fully explain how it happens because, you know, sometimes for me, I'm even like, this is just so unbelievable that this is even possible. But I know by the work that I've done and the help that I've given people that it's accurate, it's true.
So you can actually help them, and not physically even have to be there, help them remove these unwanted spirits from their home or from their can you remove them from their person? Or?
Yes, so if they have attachments, it's different than having a building or a property haunted as someone is haunted. It's an attachment, and it's not the same as someone being possessed. That's really rare. And that's one of the misconceptions, is that you can have attachments, you could have spirits follow you, and they can really disrupt your life. And a lot of people start seeing that, you know, and like you could even go buy a car. This is an example, a new car. Suddenly things start going crazy for you in your life. And there could be some spirit that is attached to that car that's causing some disruption in your life. And so, yes, I've cleared cars too.
There you go. And if it's on your, like following your person, you actually teach them what they need to do to get them from coming back.
Yes, because when they contact me, that gives me the opportunity to look into their life as well. So I can clear those spirits and entities up from their life. And then because I'm looking into their life, I can see what kind of things they might need to change so that they are not hospitable to those things again. Because what I clear can't come back, but if you don't change things in your life, then other things can come back. Most of the time that happens with trauma, and I heard you talking about the children in the other clip, and I think about parents when they don't, when they discipline the way that they do. If they spank or they're really harsh in their discipline, that can cause trauma in a child's life. So even children can get attachments. When we have trauma in our life, no matter what that trauma is, it allows an opening. Sorry, I'm stuttering, but I'm trying to explain this effectively in such a short time. That is such a deep concept that I have information on my website about that too.
Okay, and if you'd like to learn more about Julie Kellogg's work, you can check her out on Facebook and just search for Julie Kellogg.
Yes, and my website is theunexpectedmedium.com.
Yep, there you go. And you can also get tickets to the Parsons Historical Museum's Night at the Museum event this Saturday night. Just check them out on Facebook. And do you know how much tickets are for that? Or?
They're $25, and we are just about sold out.
Oh, so you better do that quick. And that again, it's at 6 o'clock on
6:30.
6:30 on Saturday evening at the Parsons Historical Museum. It'd be a fun event to check out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. We will be right back. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Private First Class Travis Barnes. The native of Springfield, Missouri, began his service in 2007 as part of the 458th Transportation Detachment. To Private First Class Travis Barnes, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
All right, time to celebrate some Tuesday birthdays in the four states, and we begin in McCune with Blaine Martin, celebrating birthday number 2. A very happy birthday to you, Blaine.
And it's another Boogney birthday in the four states. Emerson Boogney turning 5 years old this year. Hope you have a wonderful day.
And in Pittsburgh, we've got Gabriel Spann celebrating birthday number 6. Very happy birthday to you, Gabriel.
Aria Major celebrating birthday number 9 this year. Happy birthday, sweetie.
And we've got Cowan Dunn celebrating birthday number 9 as well in Pittsburgh. A very happy birthday to you, Cowan.
And a belated birthday wish going out to Macy Out, who's 10 years old now. That's a really cool picture there of Macy in Webb City.
And back to Pittsburgh we go for Andrew Lance, celebrating birthday number 37. Very happy birthday to you, Andrew.
And Jack Washburn celebrating birthday number 92 this year. This particular picture was taken back in July at Yellowstone Park. Pretty cool.
Very cool. And we head over to Oswego for Tiffany Higgins, who's celebrating a birthday. Tiffany, I hope it's a great one for you. You'll want to bundle up, though.
All right. And Bill and Cheryl Harvey are celebrating their 42nd wedding anniversary there in Pittsburgh.
And we also have a very special birthday going out to Rick Hershey, a Joplin police officer. A very special, very happy birthday to you, Rick. I hope it's a great one for you.
All right. And yes, and thank you for all that you do, Mr. Hershey. And Neil Scott celebrating a birthday in Scammon.
All right. And you know what? This list was pretty short. We'd like it to be longer, and Tanya's going to tell you how you can contribute to our birthday list every morning.
It's really simple. You can always use the U.S. Postal Service to send us your pictures and information, but it's really easy if you send it to us online through an email at birthdays, don't forget the S, at KOAMTV.com or birthdays at KOAMNewsNow.com.
And while you're visiting our website for the latest news, weather, and sports, and everything else you need to know, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM News Now Birthday Club. All you need to do is head over to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for it. You get special deals from local businesses and a nice little birthday message from us. So go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. All right, we've got an alert day for the first half of your day for a freeze warning through this morning, and then we're putting it back into place this evening, kind of an alert night, as we'll see temperatures drop back down into the lower 20s again. That freeze warning through 10 a.m. for every county in our viewing area. Right now at 7th and Range Line in Joplin, the sun, you can see some light out there, slowly starting to peek out. We're 28 in Joplin, feels like 28 because the wind is calm right now. Temperatures across the region are pretty chilly. 28 Yates Center, 27 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, and Lamar, 28 Columbus, 29 in Miami and Neosho. There is a light breeze in some parts of the area, so it feels like 20 in Yates Center in Iola, 19 in Fort Scott, 21 in Nevada, feels like 25 in Lamar as we start the day. Live look at the MoDOT camera looking east on I-44 from Rangeline. Traffic picking up. We got a green light weather-wise for your morning commute as we'll be clear and cold. And we're keeping the yellow light again today for your drive home as we could see winds gusting upwards of about 20 miles an hour. So high-profile vehicle drivers, be aware of that. Otherwise, we are clear and cool in the 40s. Kids getting on the bus in the next 7 or 8 minutes. It'll be 28 degrees. Give them the coat for sure. Clear skies. A little bit of a gusty wind later. 45 at 3 o'clock under mostly clear skies. And as we go through the rest of today, we will fight to eventually reach a high of 48 degrees under mostly sunny skies. We stay mostly clear tonight, so our temperatures drop off very quickly from 30 to 27, an overnight low of 23 degrees. But if you don't like the cold weather, then you'll like the 7-day. We get up to 57 tomorrow, and then after that, we ease into the lower 80s heading into the weekend. Overnight lows come back up into the 60s, and then we're watching some shower and thunderstorm chances Monday. We'll have a high of 75 degrees. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. We got a pretty cool day for us today. We will eventually reach a high of only 48 degrees under clear skies, and because we'll have clear skies tonight, temperatures drop quickly after sunset to a very cold overnight low of 23. But if you don't like the cold weather, look at the 7-day. We start to warm up tomorrow, 57, lower 80s by the weekend, and watching some rain chances by Monday.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making herb roasted bunt pan chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I feel like sometimes he makes up these names because they get longer and longer.
It's a very long name, but I've looked at pictures of this recipe. Oh my goodness.
I bet it's very good. I'm not saying his food's bad. His food's really good. I'm just saying, like, these names get longer and longer every time, it seems. Well, your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Coming up next, Tom Felton created the iconic character Draco Malfoy on CBS Mornings. The actor reflects with Anthony Mason on more than 2 decades of Harry Potter fame, plus overcoming big challenges off screen.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, our very own Yana Tula goes live from a haunted hemp maze with an interview you don't want to miss.
That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.